Hey y'all. Unfortunately, my thing got disconnected. So that's what happened here. E Trying to see if I can get you guys back. I'm sorry, man. I tell you, faulty. I'm just gonna keep rolling. I'm just gonna keep going, guys. So anyway, yeah, I figured it froze. I saw the numbers going down and froze. But I'm just gonna keep going, and whoever joins joins. But nonetheless, I think that with this situation, there's nothing that's impossible these days. There's women having children at 50. There's a lot of different options. There's surrogacy. There's IVF. There's a lot of different options to having children. So you don't necessarily and again, like I said, adoption, there's a lot of children that need to be adopted as well. Having children may not be exactly the way that you thought it would be. It may not be the way that you envision in your mind, but I think that God has a way of doing things in his own way, in his own time. And I think that you have to also be receptive to God's plan, because God's plan is bigger than our plan. There's been a lot of things that if I had to envision in my head exactly the way that I wanted to happen, and it didn't happen that way. It happened in its own way. It happened in a different way. And I had to be open to God's plan, because God's plan is greater than the plans that we can have for ourselves. And things sometimes don't work out, and they don't work out, and God has something even greater on the other side, and we have to trust him. And I know I'm bringing it back to spirituality, but that's what it is. The relationship, obviously, that you've had, it's run its course. It's gone all over the place. The guy was with you, was separated from you, has children, messed around on you, has another child now by somebody else. I think that relationship may need to end. Um, and I think you've learned a lot from that. And that's amazing that you've learned as much as you have. But I think it's time for you to exit stage left. I think it's time for you to move on, take your cookies and just keep it to the left. Because that doesn't sound like a situation that is giving you life. Doesn't sound like a situation that is honoring you. Doesn't sound like a situation that is giving you purpose. Doesn't sound like a man that's trying to edify you and make you anything more than what he's already done. And so I think the best thing to do at this point is to know that there's a God that's bigger than all things. I read something that basically said, what's big to God, what's big to us is small to God, and what's small to us is big to God. And I think that in this situation, you having a child, if you are meant to have a child, there's nothing no man can know. I don't care what genetic, I don't care what it is. You may have not gotten pregnant with him, but get pregnant with the next dude without even trying. You don't know what could possibly happen. I've heard that a million times. In addition to that, you have to know that um again, God's plan is greater. And then you have to be open. If you want a child, you have to be open to all avenues of having a child. There's not just one way to have a child these days. There's multiple ways of having children and having a quality motherhood experience. And it doesn't have to happen the traditional way. In fact, a lot of times it's not happening the traditional way, and people are happy. They're in loving homes. Like the overall outcome is the same. So I would honestly say that just continue to be who you are. And I would suggest some therapy. I would suggest some therapy, some Jesus and some therapy, sis, honestly. Because that's a lot. That's a lot that you're dealing with. There's a lot that you're holding on to. There's a lot of pain there, falling in love, dating again. I get all of that. I get all of it because of what you've experienced. But you gonna have to, I feel like you're gonna have to open up and maybe see somebody about how you feel and the things that you have experienced, and allow God to heal you and redeem that, and understand that there's not just one cookie cutter way to have children. There's a lot of different ways. And just because it didn't happen with this guy doesn't mean it can't happen at all. You don't know what God has in store for you. You really don't know. He gives it to you piece by piece. You really have no idea. So keep the faith. Understand that there's a lot of hope. There's not really, I don't see no hope in the situation you just left. Oh boy, may need to, like I said, I think he need to go to the chopping block. I don't see that being something that you need to stay in. that seems like something that you need to let go with 2020 and move on and start off free and clear with a therapist, Jesus, and reconciling that maybe having a child may not happen the way that you exactly happen. But I know that no matter what, God's plan is bigger than our own, and all things work together for our good. All things work together for our good. So let's try to start the chapter over in 2021. Okay. So I hope that helps. So next question. I'll do a short one because I like to break up these questions. I like to break them up. I think I might have gotten I had a lot of short questions this time. So let me just go through that. So, what do you believe is your greatest strength and your greatest weakness? I think my greatest strength, uh, I think my greatest strength is that I'm very driven. I'm a driven person. And I feel like I'm like, even if it's something that I'm afraid of, even if it's something that I'm like convicted, I'm conscious. So like it's like I have a very I think my greatest strength is my empath ability and my faith. I think that just really trusting in God, I've really developed and still developing that faith muscle. Um, but I've also feel like my ability to be empathic is also one of my greatest strengths. I think that's one of the greatest strengths that God has given me as an empath. That has been it's been a strength. It's also it also is my weakness. So it plays a role. My empath ability or being able to feel people's emotions and things like that and going on that up and down with people, that's a strength at times. But I would honestly say that probably my weakness is being an empath as well. I'm also I have a strong cutoff. Like I don't really have like a medium. It's like either I'm on or I'm off. Either I'm with you or I'm not. I'm not playing the middle. I'm not that middle ground type of person. It's like I'll be on for as long as I can, but once I'm off, it's off. Like done. And it's like that's it. Jig is up. Sorry. That's just kind of how it is with me. Um So I guess is that could be a strength. It also could be a weakness that I am that once I hit that boundary, that's where it's like exit stage left. I gotta go. Even if I mean, I could love you all day long, but if I feel like I've hit a boundary in a situation, time for Sam to go. And Sam gonna go. Okay. So that's just kind of how I am. Um Being a Scorpio, did you find yourself obsessing after a relationship? Hmm. Ah, is that a trait of a Scorpio? I don't know if I don't know if I like obsessing over a relationship after it's over. No. Well, it depends if was I really done. If I'm really done with a relationship, no, I'm not gonna obsess over it. If I'm not done with it and I just broke up, like let's say when I was young and I would break up just to break up and I didn't really mean what I was saying, I was trying to get somebody to comply. So I was like, okay, we're done, but we're not really done. I have all intentions of taking you back. I'm just trying to teach you a lesson. Then I would obsess at that point because I was still emotionally wanting the relationship. But if I'm emotionally done with the relationship, no, I don't obsess after I'm done with it. Mm-mm. Um, I don't know. I guess I can answer this one. How are you and your heart doing mentally after your divorce? The aftermath was hard for me after mine. Um, it's not. It's a day by day process. It's a day by day process. And my relationship with God has just gotten my relationship with God has gotten stronger and on a whole nother level. And so, but it's a day by day. Um, Is Danny and Dana's mom your biological sister? No, she's not my biological sister, but I definitely feel like she's my sister. And she's like my sister in Christ. And her children are like my nieces. I love them. I think they're awesome. And yeah, so Danny and Dana are awesome. Their mom, that's like I love her. We don't speak as often as I would like, just because of everything, that we're both busy, we're both grinding. But I love her. So definitely feel like she's like my sister. Um, have I ever dated a DL guy? No, not that I know of. Not that I know of. I don't know if I dated anybody on the DL. They might have been really they might have been really good at being on the DL because I don't not that I know of. I mean, who knows, who knows these days, y'all? I don't know. How do I deal with internet trolls? You know what, you guys, I've gotten better at this. I'm still not perfect with it. Some things I can take constructive criticism. I can take people saying things about me and I can understand that. It's like it's part of the game of being public and being out there and things like that is, people aren't gonna always say beautiful, wonderful things about you. I mean, it's just what it is. I think there is some truth to some things. Like recently, some things that were said, I was like, I could see where they're coming from. And I need to do something different. I need to change this. Um, and that was something, there's some truth to things that people say. And I had to reflect and really like look at what I was putting out. And so there's been truth, and then there in the trolls, there's some trolls that, like, I don't know if that's trolls or not, but they've been helpful in the journey of growth. But I would honestly say that, otherwise, if it's just like crazy stuff, like I don't pay attention. I just delete. If it's too much, I block. But it's like sometimes what they're saying, it's like, you know what, I can kind of see that. I need to, this if this is what I'm reflecting, then I need to do a better job because my whole point is to give God the glory. So I don't want to be doing stuff that's contradictory to that. And I don't want anything that I'm doing to be misconstrued to be that. So I'll adjust. I'll figure it out, So yeah. Um do you ever plan on learning how to cook? Um I did learn how to cook. I actually took like 30 classes to learn how to cook. I just know I don't like cooking. That's just not my thing. Okay. So it's not that, because when I did it in a context, I got married and that's what I thought that was the thing for me to do, was to learn how to cook. That's the truth. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, let me learn how to cook. Let me take these classes. Like that'd be really cute if I could be the housewife that cooks and does all the stuff. Well, mm, that was something that I did, and then I got pregnant and I got sick cooking. I was like, you know what, this ain't for me. Like this ain't it. Like I'm trying to be a wife that's not that. Maybe that was my mom. My mom can throw down. My mom is like bomb cook, can throw it all the way down, inside out, upside down as far as cooking. That's just not me. It is what it is. It's not my ministry. I can do it. I probably can't anymore because that was like 2 years ago. But like or 3 years ago, actually. I don't do it anymore. Like I meal prep like my mom meal preps my food and she does it for everybody now. But she meal preps my food. It keeps me on my toes as far as my diet regimen and sticking with the plan that I'm on. But yeah, I'm not a chef that, that's just what it is. I'm sorry, y'all. That's just How do you react to people trying to downplay your blackness? Um, okay, so I'm gonna answer this in a different way. The question of my ethnicity has never not been a thing. Like that's always been a thing. That's never not been a thing. I'm mixed. That is what this is, so it didn't really bother me that much because I've been dealing with it my whole life. I think my ex was much more offended by it because that was new. But for me specifically, I mean, I look mixed. So I don't think it's negative. I don't think it's the like it I don't look at it the same way. I know what I'm mixed with. I know my truth. If someone looks at me, they don't see the same thing, well then that's on them. But I've had a lot of experiences because I am mixed with a lot of racism. Probably some racism that's like crazy. I mean, there was a time in my life where someone tried to take my life because they felt like I was from Africa and they felt like I needed to die. And that was a crazy situation. Jumped on my head in the pool. My little brother saved me, but nonetheless, that happened. And that was purely because of my race. Because that person interpreted me as black. So, it's been all across the board. You know what I'm saying? And like, my stepdad is black, my stepmom is black, my mom is mixed with black. And so that's just what it is. And I mean, at the end of the day, I am who I am, and people can interpret me any kind of way that they want to. Um, I'm not trying to be anybody but me. So that's that. Um, was being a stepmom difficult? These are some good questions, y'all. These are some good questions. Was it difficult being a stepmom? Yeah, yeah, it was difficult. How did you come up with your daughter's name? Does she have a middle name? Um, I wanted to come up with S names because I would like there was Samantha, there's Shayla, and then I was like, okay, well, it's a girl, so I want another S name because of all the female S's. And so I was looking for an S name, and I like wanted something that was unique that meant something, well, meant the same as what Shayla said her name meant, which was princess. And so I like looked and looked and like looked all over for a name that kind of meant the same thing. And I found Soraya, and I presented it to my ex, and he was like, "Oh, this is a great name." Yeah, or well, no, he wasn't on board with it. He didn't like it at first. It was like I was like sold on the name. And then like we agreed on that, and he wanted Lee. My middle name is Lee. So we Soraya Lee Gibson. And my name is Samantha Lee Gibson. So we have the same initials. But yeah, so that's that. What is my favorite part about being a mom? Um, my favorite part about being a mom, I think being a mom made me a woman, like a real one, like a grown woman. I think I was a little girl before I became a mom. Like the way that I conduct myself, the way that I do things now, the hustle, the grind, um, the patience that I have, the like it's almost like what was I doing before I had a child? Because I mean, it's like now it's like you're like I'm utilizing all this time as to the best of my ability to be as effective as possible. And when I didn't have children, I don't know if I was this effective. So um yeah, so I think that it's made me more of a woman. It's made me more of a person that I also feel like I'm way more like feminine, I guess. I'm really like very like nurturing. I'm very much more of a comforting person and much more like I guess more humble. I also feel like I'm more secure about who I am. I'm more secure about the woman I am, what I bring to the table. Like I know who I am. I know that like my strengths, I know my weaknesses. I'm much more self-assured about that. Um I think well, I guess my favorite part about being a mom is getting to experience the love from a child. The way that I love Soraya and the way that she loves me, It's like I can probably cry like on command just thinking about that, because the love I have for her and the love that she has for me, just, I mean, like, you can see my eyes welling up now. Like, it's just, it doesn't, it's, there's nothing like it. The love that I've been blessed to experience through her, is the most unconditional, beautiful thing I've ever felt. Yeah, that's definitely God's gift. Sarai's a gift. Sarai's a real gift. Do I think Leticia secretly wanted Tyrese? No. No, I don't think that. Don't think that at all. Would I get married again? Yeah. Yeah, I would. I'll get married again. You know. Um, I mean, I would, but marriage is definitely something that I would have to really, like it. There's a lot to that question. That's a loaded question. Y'all knew what y'all were doing with that one. That's a loaded question. I would, but that's a loaded question. That's a loaded question. Um, do I have beef with The Rock? No. Was it hard to trust a husband that traveled a lot? Yes. No, no. No, actually, no. It wasn't hard. Mm-mm. It wasn't hard. I think if you like think of it on the other side of it, you're like, oh my gosh, it's really hard to trust. But no, like I think that was something that was not an issue for us. I didn't have any like question of his character, like of like if I could trust him or not. I didn't not feel like I could trust him, like as far as being faithful. I didn't feel like that. I felt like we had in that situation, like he could be gone for like weeks, months at a time. I didn't feel like that was hard, but I think it really depends on like the kind of relationship you have with somebody, and like understanding the level of security that you have with each other, and just like being honest with each other. And like I didn't feel that like at all. Like, I was really actually really, he made me feel really comfortable with him traveling. Like I never felt like I was like, oh my gosh, what is he about to do? Like I was never, that never never was a problem. Um and it's 8:03, so I'm gonna, because things kind of got messed up. um uh okay, have I ever cheated on a man? Yes, I have. um in my life, absolutely, especially before therapy. Yeah, for sure I have. But I mean, it's I think that it's something that, I was a hurt person. I was a hurt person hurting other people, and I didn't know how to 100% commit to a relationship. So I definitely did do things that I shouldn't have done, and I did cheat. Do I want more kids? Yes. I work out in my living room, y'all, because I work out at home. I ain't going to no gym. That's why I'm working out in the living room. Somebody asked me, why do I work out in my living room? Because I ain't going to no gym. I'm working out in my living room. I'm gonna make the most of the space. I am going to work out in my living room. So that's why I created a out, or my trainer did create a out home workout to be the most effective, because I'm not going to no gym. That's not what I'm trying to do. So would you recommend dating someone famous? Y'all are funny. Why would I recommend dating somebody famous? No. No, I would not. I think of my here's my thing. I think women make a lot of um I think a lot of women want a certain type of notoriety and being with a certain guy. That's not where your worth comes from. That's not where your validation comes from. Your validation comes from God and God alone. It doesn't matter who you're with. And I think women make a lot of like athletes and entertainers and wanting to be with these certain kind of guys, and we've got into the high value men thing and everything like that. I'm not saying these guys are bad, but you have to also understand. these guys are self-made men. There's a lot of men, a lot of women, excuse me, that want these men, right? So at the end of the day, these men are accustomed to getting their way. And because they're the higher, there's a lot more that want them. They're able to pick and choose and they're able to do whatever. And so as a woman, a lot of women go into a situation, you go into a situation saying, "Hey, I want this kind of guy." Not understanding that these guys have the pick of the litter. They ain't gonna put up with everything. The boundary, you sometimes you gonna they're gonna expect you gonna have to settle and compromise and work things out within yourself before they will feel like they need to do that too. Because they're who they are. They're women value, as women, we value security. We value being with a man that's able to provide and protect us and provide the security that we feel like men should. Absolutely. And the men that can do it on a higher level feel like, okay, I have way more options. So because I have way more options, the boundaries and the compromise and the working together, you have some men that are higher earning or whatever, and they're great at that. They have no issue with compromising and working with a woman and making that situation work. I find that, if a man's in the limelight, and there it's very rare for to find one that's like, I'm gonna work for this relationship. This is what I want, and I'm gung-ho about being with one person, and we gonna make this thing ride out. Like, because they are who they are, and you're just one of maybe millions of women that want them, they're going to be like, yeah, I don't have to work for you. I don't have to try to make this work. You've got to make this work. You've got to compromise. You've got to reconcile within your mind about what this is, not me. Period. That's how that is. And when we talk about Russell Wilson married Sierra. Okay. He didn't marry no regular chick. He married Sierra. Okay, Sierra has had her own, was making her own. So he kind of came into a he's like, he felt as to a certain level, like, I've gotta work my way into her too. Like, I've got to put some work in for her. He does seem like a good dude, but I'm just saying, like, it's not like a typical female off the street. I'm not saying that he wouldn't or would, I don't know him to say that, but I'm just saying that, like, that was a balanced situation where they, like, that was balanced. Whereas you talking about a normal dude like that, like, let's say a woman's trying to get at, like, what, I don't know, Chris Brown. That's a man who has a lot of women after him. So he's not going to like like he's not looking at like, oh, I'm gonna work for her and I'm gonna do everything I can to make this thing work and blah 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 blah. Like, that's not what he's gonna come into a situation. Like, I got a lot of women, and a lot of women gonna put up with whatever I decide to do. So I'm not gonna just settle with anything. I'm just going, like, the person that I decide to settle with is going to have to compromise a lot mentally to be with me before I do the same for them. The lack of work on the other side is not there, because they are men that have a lot of options. They don't feel like they need to settle. And that's just what it is. And I think a lot of women feel like, oh, we're going to be in this relationship. It's going to be so awesome. We're going to be like this and we're going to be like that. And we're going to ride these kind of planes. We're going to do this. And they're like, that's not what it is. Like, that's not it, sis. Like, the kind of relationship you may want may be from, like, just as good with the guy from down the street that I don't know. I'm trying to think of a job like that works at Publix or works at Kroger. Like, that might be a dude that's like, that's just as awesome and is loving you and giving you everything that you need, and is filling your spirit up and making you feel like a goddess. Like, you might get that from him, but yet you vying after the dude that everybody want, because everybody want him. And that's not a good reason to go after any dude. Period. You need to go after a dude that you feel like can really bring something to the table, and don't just allow, I think a lot of times we get into society and everybody trying to get the same kind of people. No, like, no, that's not how this works. Like, everybody, we all have our own beautiful things about each other, and we need to value those things. And we as women, like, don't like shun the guy that has more of a normal job and is doing the right things and whatever. Like, don't do that. That guy might honor you, love you, give you everything, and you over here overlooking him because you looking at this dude. Don't do that. You don't know who's gonna give you that spark. It doesn't have to be, like a lot of these women over here compromising their whole self-worth in general. Like they whole everything they said they wouldn't do, they doing because they want to be with a certain type of dude. And like, girl, no, don't do that. That's not gonna work out too well. It's not gonna be a positive situation, sis. Don't compromise yourself for nobody. Okay. And that doesn't necessarily mean you got to settle with just whatever, but like sometimes we're overlooking the person that will love you the way you desire to be loved, and they may not be working whatever kind of job that you want them to work or whatever you want them to do. Like you have to allow the flexibility in God's plan versus your own plan that you have for yourself that may not be God's plan for you. Period. Tyra Banks exposed on her talk show that relationships in the business are arranged love, not love matches. I don't know that to be true, but you know, I mean, I don't know that. I don't know that fact at all, but that's all I'm saying. So y'all, it's 8:12. I'm gonna give you guys another 3 minutes, and do I think that rich, famous men can be faithful? Yes. I do think they can be faithful. It's probably very hard for them, but I do think they can be faithful. I do think that. Um, have I ever been cheated on? Absolutely. I have been cheated on. And how did I find out? Girl, first of all, my spidey sense told me before anyone ever question, would you be with another man? Would I be with another man who has children? Yeah. Yeah, I would. That's not like a deal breaker for me. I think most women are like that though. I think we're like pretty okay with men that have children. But anyway, how did I find out? I found out because I like first of all, my gut told me, number one, my gut was like telling me before. And then I had seen he had sent me text messages by accident thinking he was texting a friend. I'll never forget this day, boy, I tell you what. He texted me, and I already kind of felt like he was cheating. Um, but he texted me, and he was meant to text his best friend, and the text message said, "Oh, I just got on this bad chick last night." And I was like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Do you know who you're talking to?" And then he responded back to his friend to me. He's like, "Man, I don't know what's going on. All my text messages are going to her." And it was like my first sign, like, yeah, he definitely was cheating on me. Yeah, definitely had been cheating on. So that's what happened. Um, uh, do what can you do if a friend is in a toxic relationship? Do you give your opinion or say nothing? I think what you say, what I would say to a person like that, listen, your friend may not be in the space to hear you, sis. So if she's asking for your opinion, then you be honest. But if she's not asking for your opinion and she's asking for your support, then you give her support. I think sometimes we go into it and then we make it so like black or white with our friendships, and we cause issues in our friendships because we say like, oh, we can't, like, oh, she's not listening to me, she need to be listening to me. No, like no one needs to listen to you. Like at the end of the day, like um the reality is that like if your friend is in love in a relationship, then if you're in love, like she may not be ready, she may not be in the space to hear that you're saying this is toxic. But there may be a day where she gets in an argument or whatever, and then she calls you like, listen, friend, what do you think? And then you have the opportunity to say, like, this ain't healthy. And she may be in the space to hear that then. But I'm very big about saying, like, hey, what do you need from me right now? Do you need me to support you? Or do you want my opinion? And people will tell you what they want. They'd be like, oh, I want to support you. Or I want you to tell me your opinion. So just allow your friend to be open for it. Because if you say what you're saying in a space where she can't receive it, then it won't make sense for you anyway. You might as well have just kept that to yourself. So, and pray for them. Absolutely pray for them. Pray for them to hear or see what they need to see. Could I be with a man from another faith? Probably not. No, I'm going to say no. Because my faith is so important to me. I don't think I could be with somebody with a different faith than myself. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Do you need me to support you or do you want my opinion? Absolutely. Allow them to do that. Marriage is not valued anymore. Um, what made me say yes to marriage? I mean, because I was, I was in love and I thought that that was the person I was supposed to be with. That's what I thought. And that's what I believed and I got married, you know. And have a beautiful daughter, and that's what that is. But yeah, you know, I don't think marriage is a bad thing. I think when it's done in the right context and it's done with you do the right things and you figure it out and you really put it before God and you give him the space and the time to answer. God will reveal whatever you need to know. Like, I just think that maybe sometimes we overlook things or sometimes we don't, but I would personally say, I think marriage is beautiful. Marriage is not a negative. I don't think it's a negative thing. Not saying that. Um, but in this life, and this is with anything, you're never going to be 100% sure or positive about anything. It's all about risk. And like I said on Monday, Miracle Monday, not taking the risk not taking the risk is the risk. Not taking a risk is the risk. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go any further. We have asked questions. We have gone through the gamut. And I have enjoyed you guys. I have enjoyed you guys so much. And so I thank you that you guys have come on again. And I'll do a better job of looking at the time, possibly placing myself near a router or whatever that's called. Not a router, but you know what I mean. Is it a router? You know what I mean. But the Wi-Fi is at. Nonetheless, that's what I'm gonna do next time. But I love y'all. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I will be saving this to my YouTube channel and I will be doing this again next Thursday. So see you then. Thank you for tuning in to I Was Her. I hope you enjoyed the answering of the questions. Again, DM me, send me if you're going to send a story, put a star, I Was Her star, and then write the rest. And I'm also going to put in my story as we get closer to that date where you can ask me questions, like shorter questions, and I'll answer them. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you again. This has been fun. And I hope you have a great night. Thank you. And a great weekend.